Will. Susanna. Brandie.
Hey, Comedy Emulator crowd, thank you guys for being here. Put your hands together for the hilarious comedy you haven't seen yet. Yay! The very concept of entertainment, we're doing it. Rain, where are you? We got a co-host tonight because Joe Starr is on an airplane in the sky. Come here. Come here. Rain? Yes. Rain, everybody! Yeah. That's good. That's the perfect amount of time that anybody should spend doing stand-up comedy. That's all you need to get out of it. How you guys doing? Everybody good? Everybody enjoying a delightful couch? I like that we have enough audience that everyone gets their own couch. You guys can have your own couches too. There's enough couches for this. I've been enjoying the fact that I just went through a breakup, which is awesome. Yeah, why are we not applauding? Applauding for breakups, yay. Which if you cohabitated feels like you just went through the smallest robbery that you can't report to anybody. There are just things missing around the apartment that you don't notice. I dove onto a couch the other day and I hurt myself because there aren't throw pillows there anymore. It was like, oh, I can't really complain to anybody about that. Or I cooked something in the oven and then had to eat it in the oven because all of my oven mitts are gone. That's a weird thing to have to deal with. Moving on from that, though, and I still get to do the fun boyfriend thing, which is my favorite guessing game in the world, which is to go to the store with a list that somebody has written for you and look for ingredients that I don't believe exist. I got a list the other day that had vanilla extract and caramelized parsley and aged ginger. These aren't things, but you can see other boyfriends in the grocery store because we're always with a phone talking to the phone. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. I can't ask though, because if you ask where one of those things is, you lose. And if you have to ask somebody yeah, I gotta find ghost blood. Is ghost blood a thing? Do you sell, you mean like ectoplasm? That's what I thought too, but she's very specific. I feel like I'm gonna fuck up this recipe. Gotta find ghost blood. Nobody here's ever given their boyfriend the assignment to get ghost blood. Somebody is cheating on me. That's how you keep me out of the house, just wandering a grocery store for hours on end looking for things that don't exist. I got to do a wedding the other day, which was great for me because the couple met on an online dating site, on an app, and everyone at a wedding in 2015 couldn't shut up about what are they going to tell their grandkids? How are they going to tell their grandkids that they swoped left? What kind of backing story? I was like, if you're worried about what they're going to tell their grandkids, imagine how they're going to tell their grandkids that we once believed in single partner relationships. Those won't exist anymore by the time that everyone will just be in an open relationship forever with everyone else. Marriage is... What a weird thing to lose your head about. But my grandparents were at the wedding as well, and there was a woman there that they kept pointing out to me, and the story of this woman is that she was once kicked in the face by a horse. Her face was kicked off, and they made her a new face. And it looks pretty good. If you were to say somebody in this room had their face kicked off by a horse, everyone wouldn't point, but they'd be like, I have a good first guess. I'm going to win with this guess. I don't need a second. I know who we're talking about. So she was sitting at the table next to us, and my grandparents, who forget that other people still have ears and brains, kept leaning forward and being like, did you see Karen? Did you know she had her face kicked by a horse? Her face was kicked off by a horse. This is the volume, not the speaking voice I'm doing, the voice I'm doing into the microphone. That's the level of what they're doing with her 2 feet away. So she knows we're talking about it. And I kept leaning into my grandparents to be like, don't, and they're like, no, she didn't die. Her face was kicked off by a horse. And the more I tried to get them to not say it, the more they thought I just wasn't hearing it enough. Like, her face! A horse! It kicked, it just, it was an impossible thing to win. And now all I can see my grandparents as is this weird, like, Dane Cook sketch that got cut to the floor. A horse kicked her in the face. Like, that's just what my grandmother is to me now, is a sadder, more socially inappropriate Dane Cook. Sorry, Grandma, you don't know how computers work. This is the first and only show I've ever had to promote where the only rule is don't use Firefox. If you're using Firefox right now, don't do it. It sucks up our bandwidth. There are hyper-specific requirements for what we're doing tonight. Guys, we have just a killer show lined up for you. One of my favorite comedians in the entire world, nay, all worlds and all times, my sister in comedy and just the smartest, greatest, best, prettiest, most talented snowflake of a human being that could ever be, just got back from tour, and she is here tonight. Put your hands together for Lady to Ladies, Brandie Posey.
Give Brock Wilbur a hand, you guys. I love hugging Brock because every time it just feels like, Daddy! Like it's just catching up on hugs that I never got as a kid. It's fun. No, it's fine. He worked. We had a good life. It's fine. He just was emotionally distant. That's why I'm here right now. You guys, I just got back from tour. I don't know. San Francisco used to be cool. It has changed. The cusp of San Francisco has changed, and it's a bummer. And I had an experience that was the quintessential old and new San Francisco experience. I was using a bathroom in a coffee shop, and I looked, and there was no toilet paper. And then when I looked up to the spot where the extra toilet paper should be, there was a stack of 7 copies of Dante's Inferno in its place. And that's gentrification in a nutshell, you guys. Something absolutely useless in a place that something useful used to be. That's exactly it. I looked at it and I was like, am I about to wipe my ass with classical literature? And the answer to that is yes. But then when I went to go open a book, they'd all been glued together, making them even more useless than they once were. And then I wrote out pages of my joke notebook and used that instead. And you guys ever know, like, when you're not homeless, but then you do something homeless in a bathroom? Like, that's exactly what happened. I was just like, man, I fucking pay taxes, and now, like, I should have toilet paper around me at all times. Like, that just should be in the Declaration of Independence. It should be like life, liberty, happiness, whatever, toilet paper whenever you need toilet paper. It's just like a basic human right I feel good about. Tour was really fun, with the exception of when we were in Oakland. I got a Bay Area problem. My car got broken into in Oakland. And they stole some of our stuff, which is frustrating. But I learned something about myself. I go from 0 to wronged cop 3 weeks from retirement whose nemesis just got out of jail in 5 seconds. Like, I just grow stubble out of nowhere, and I just, like, leave my wife, and then I'm just, like, looking for somebody constantly. I didn't go to sleep until 5:30 in the morning, and the only way that I could make myself go to bed was by reading Mad Men and Game of Thrones spoilers, because I needed something else to be mad at instead. I was just like, I'm going to murder a stranger in the street if I don't find something else that is slightly less offensive to me right now than having my laptop stolen from my car. It was absolutely infuriating. I keep checking Find My iPhone. That's replaced checking my Facebook. Now I just look for revenge at any given moment. If it pops up tonight, I will drive to Oakland to his house, and I will just will fire from my body, and I will just ruin his family for generations. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, like, it's hard when you're a traveling comic because, like, you travel with really dumb stuff. Like, let me give you a list of things that he did not steal. He did not steal my 7-Eleven Slurpee straw that had the dog face in the front of it. Didn't steal that. Didn't steal the bald eagle replica that I bought for my boyfriend. Don't know why he didn't steal a 6-inch bald eagle. What the hell is the matter with you, dude? Didn't steal the business card of the guy from Eugene, Oregon that said that I could be in one of his movies the next time that I came up. So I still have that information available. Would have been cool if he had actually taken that one. Would have been fine. But when I did go to sleep finally, I felt good because I've realized something, you guys. Beauty fades, but revenge will keep you young forever. So, fuck your beauty sleep. Every time I go to sleep now, it is revenge sleep. That is something that I'm just working towards all the time. I'm just like, no. Every time that I go to a spin class or eat a salad, everything is now towards me finding the man that stole my laptop someday. I didn't use toilet paper in San Francisco, didn't. You know what I did to Oakland? Because 2 cops didn't file a police report for me? I pissed on the street in Oakland. That's what I do. When you wrong me, I will piss in the street of your city. I was like, apparently the police don't give a shit about anything that's happening here. I'm also straight edge, you guys. I was stone sober. Just pissed on the street in Oakland and dared a cop to come up to me. Oh, God. It's okay. I'm a little bit white trash. It's a thing that I am. I don't feel that bad about it, though. I'm originally from Maryland, and I had a weird thing happen to me over Christmas where, so my mom passed away last year, and it's a sad thing, but this is a funny thing that happens when you lose a parent and you're relatively young, is that your living parent will then introduce you to the friends that your dead parent kept away from you for 30 years. Which is a really fun little way to spend Christmas. And you're just like, oh shit, that's when you meet a guy named Larry, you guys. It's always Larry. Met this guy named Larry. He lives in a double-wide trailer on the eastern shore of Maryland, which I have no problem with because I think that mobile homes are just tiny houses for people that don't like documentaries. Like, that's all a mobile home is. It's a tiny house. It's just like, tiny houses are just hipster millionaires trying to co-op white trash shit. Like, that's all it is. Like, nothing is more farm to table than a hunter with a garden. You know what I mean? Like, that's been around since the revolution. You didn't make up something new. Congratulations. Eat real food? Oh my God. The concept of it. It's crazy. Wait, are you telling me I should eat food that comes from the ground and not from a robot, right? Holy God, that's crazy. But yet it's such a concept, and we're like, hipster, whatever. So I meet Larry. Larry is a guy that he does have a garden, he does hunt, and every animal that he has killed, he has in his house, which is a hell of a thing when you live in a double-wide trailer. Because I walked in, and in his foyer, he had 17 deer heads, and because it was Christmas, they all had tiny Santa Claus hats on all of them. And that is a hell of a room to walk into, because you're just like, oh, is this where the reindeer go to die? Is this what happens? In the middle of everything, he had this tiny little white dog that was just like overweight and just sitting there, just like the smuggest dog that you've ever seen. And I was like, they've lied to you about your position in the food chain. You do not belong in this room full of death. You did not earn your place here, smug little tiny dog. You belong in a purse. How dare you? And then I walked into his kitchen, and that's when I met my spirit animal, you guys. My spirit animal is a dead black bear that was taxidermied by my dad's friend, Larry, that was sitting on a tiny tree and was just staring out at the woods that it would never get to run through again. And I looked at the bear, and I was like, holy shit, Larry, you got a black bear in your kitchen. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get one more before I die, too. And I was like, that's a goal. Like, you want to kill 2 bears in this lifetime? That's my New Year's resolution for 2015 is just to read less think pieces, and I am failing miserably at it. Absolutely. You want to kill 2 of nature's most perfect predators before you leave this mortal coil? Oh my God. So Larry is now my hero, which I think means my mom was right to keep him away from me for 31 years. Because it could have been a very different person otherwise. Oh, man. Are we all vaccinated in the house tonight? Is everybody vaccinated? I just want to make sure. Because if you aren't vaccinated, you don't deserve laughter. If you're listening and you haven't been vaccinated, you don't deserve the internet. So get off of it. Fuck you. I like when Brock was like talking to his grandmother, he looked directly into a camera, and I like to picture your grandmother at home just being like, he looked right at me. Oh my God. Terrifying. Oh man. I met this kid. You ever meet a baby and you think to yourself, this baby is a fucking loser. This baby's a stupid loser. I met a baby recently, and stupid loser is unvaccinated baby, which is just like, ugh, you're me green and just like this. Your entire life is just you in a wheelchair like this, whatever. The worst part about this kid, though, his name was Loki, which is child abuse. Because there is no It Gets Better program for a baby named Loki. There's just not, you guys. It's an absolutely horrible thing to do. If you somehow make it through high school and you like get out into the real world and maybe that poor baby just like meets a lady, well, when he's an adult, not when he's a baby, he meets a lady. That's a whole different thing. But I mean, you know, worse things can happen to you when your name is Loki. How if you were molested and your name was Loki? The police definitely wouldn't file that report. They'd be like, I'll never hear the end of this. And then that's how you become a vigilante. The only person that was allowed to steal my laptop was a baby named Loki. If that happened, then I'd be okay with it. Anybody else, I'm going to murder them someday. That went off the rails. I don't know, I just feel bad for this poor kid because he's going to have a horrible life. Like, say he meets like a nice lady someday and she's just like, oh, you seem nice. You treated me like a human being. What's your name? And he goes, oh, my name? It's Loki. You know, like the Nordic trickster. Because that's how you have to say it every time. And she just looks at him and says, no, the grandparents of our children are horrible people. And just moves on to the next one. It's absolutely awful. I just feel bad for him. And like the vaccine thing makes me so mad because like, the reason that people aren't vaccinating their kids is because Jenny McCarthy made it popular. Like, she read a paper, she used all of her words in that paper and was like, oh my God, vaccine's called autism. And that guy has since come out and been like, I was wrong, but she can't read any more words. She used all of her words. Because she is famous because she was really good at being hot and farting on TV in the 90s. Like, that's what Jenny McCarthy did for a decade, and she was fantastic at it. And, like, know your strengths in this world. You know what I mean? Like, if you're really good at being hot and farting on television, be good at being hot and farting on television. And that's what you do. You don't get into science. It's bullshit. Although I like to hope that, like, maybe there has to be something that I'm missing. Like maybe Jenny McCarthy like read a picture history book of the United States, and then she looked and she was like, oh, the last time the economy sucked, the guy that got us out of it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he had polio. So what if I give an entire generation of children polio, creating thousands of FDRs? And fixing the economy for a millennia. Like, it's that or she's an irresponsible cunt, you guys. Thanks, I'm Brandie Posey. Here's Brock Wilbur.
Keep it going for Brandie Posey. We did it. We brought down Jenny McCarthy tonight, you guys. I like that in your estimation, the new Walking Dead prequel spinoff is just based on Jenny McCarthy. Like they just do one episode of it. It was and then they're done. That's their Caprica. I've been waiting for her to do a new second thing too, but I kind of wish that it would be to bring back a board game no one likes. Like, hi, it's me, Jenny McCarthy for Stratego. Or like Mousetrap, the game that no one has ever played but everyone owns and is put together dozens of times. It's the 13 Dead End Drive problem. Brandie was talking about having to walk through a house where somebody kept every animal they ever killed. When we were on tour together last summer, we went to an art collective to do a podcast, because that's not the setup for terrible murder. And we sat down in a guy's room in the art collective, and we started talking with him, and we noticed that he'd taxidermied some cats and like a fish. Like, you can taxidermy a fish, I guess. And then right in the middle of the table where the podcast recording equipment was, there was a thing full of mice, and we were like rats, and they were like really cute looking, and we were like, look at all these cute rats, what a cool thing. He's like, oh, I broke their necks like 3 months ago. I'm just waiting for them to, and that moment where you go from like poking and like, hey little fella, to like, oh, it's been dead forever. The way that your heart spins is that same feeling I had when I went from watching The Brave Little Toaster as a kid to walking into the kitchen to my toaster and being like, are you my friend? And it never, it's just that moment, oh, it turns so fast. Guys, we have an excellent storyteller coming to the stage right now. She's one of my personal favorite performers in Los Angeles. She does a a hell of a show called Dirty Birdie Story Outer out of the 3 clubs. Next show is June 8th. Absolutely make it out if you can. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Susanna Lee.
Oh, a big round of applause for Brock and for Brandie and for you guys for being here. So that I'm not just doing comedy to no one but the internet. That's fantastic. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are like the candy sprinkles on the big pile of shit that's been my day. So, oh, it's heartwarming, isn't it? I'm actually in a very good mood right now because I took a Vicodin before the show. The good mood is a byproduct. I took it for legitimate reasons. I'm in a lot of pain. I went out last night and this girl punched me in the jaw for stealing her Vicodin. It's very nice to be here. Very nice to be here. I stand like this a lot. And I've read articles about body language, and I want you guys to know, don't feel like I'm doing this to be closed off to you or, because I'm aloof or I'm afraid of you. It's just that my tits are very heavy, and I like to have a shelf. How's your year going? Were you guys instructed not to talk? Is that, no? No? Yes? No? It's almost halfway through. I think you would have an opinion on it. Mine can suck a soft dick. I don't know about you guys. 2015 can suck a soft dick. And I say that as a girl that hates almost nothing more than a soft dick, 2014 was bad, but this year is just stomping I'm not saying I'm ready to leave everything to my cats just yet, but I am like one parking ticket away from a fucking face tattoo. So, neck down is body art. I see the looks, neck up, final cry for help. Things have been rough. I've been in LA for almost 5 years now, and I think that my experience as a comedian in Los Angeles is a lot like Bruce Willis's experience in The Sixth Sense. I think I'm doing an interesting job really well till I realized I've just been dead the whole time. This place will fucking kill you. It will kick your ass. It'll kick you in the teeth and then just keep kicking. And you have to be brave to be here, and you have to be even braver to stay here, And I mean like real brave, like chasing your dreams brave. I don't mean like stripper with a potbelly brave. Fucking brave. No. I can say that and you can laugh at it. I was that stripper. That's the job I could get when I moved to Los Angeles. And don't think I didn't try to get other jobs. I went on an interview at Pink Dot. Are you familiar with Pink Dot? It's like the 7-Eleven on wheels. It's a convenience store that delivers. A convenience store, a mini mart, a fucking 7-Eleven that delivers. And I couldn't get a job there. All right? The manager, he looks at my resume and he goes, well, don't you think you're a little overqualified? Do you think you're my first choice? And being overqualified is the most bullshit reason to not give somebody a job, Because when you're telling me I'm overqualified, basically what you're saying is, I have absolutely 100% no doubt in my mind that you can do this job adequately, more than adequately, to the best it can be done, and I can't fucking have that. What do you want, What do you want from it? Do you want some asshole that's going to leave newspapers on top of the hot dog roller and burn the bitch to the ground? Is this what you want? What is perfect qualification to work at Pink Dot? I know how to tie my own shoes, but not so good that I'm going to get cocky about it. So to the pole I went. And I was a terrible stripper. I was the worst stripper. No joke. One time, I kicked a guy's drink off the rail right by the stage twice in one song. 0 times on purpose. Pretty proud. And I was working with a bunch of real good strippers. So it wasn't like I blended in with other shitty strippers. I was the shitty stripper. All right? My nickname was Boner Killer. I was the worst. And they were so good, and they could do everything, They could make that come fuck me face. And the best I could do was we're going to get through this together. Question mark. I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was an easy job. I thought you just show your tits, collect your cash, game over. No, no, no. Game just beginning. You know, because after you show your tits, you have to go out and you have to mingle, you know? And you have to, like, make small talk. And I'm not good at that. I am not good at that. You know, guys would come up all the time like, hey, how's it going? I'd be like, exactly the way my high school guidance counselor predicted. It's like that motherfucker had a crystal ball, you know? I see cocaine and G-strings in your future. Beware the man with the ninja finger. It's usually only a couple people that laugh at that. I like those couple people. I tried to fit in with the girls, you know. I tried to do it by sort of imitating what they did, you know, imitating their movements, imitating who they were, how they were, like Diane Fossey, you know, like a G-string Jane Goodall. Day 4, the alpha stripper seems upset. We had an alpha stripper. We had a girl that had been at that club for 22 years, and it wasn't her first club. Don't do the math. We're trying to have a good time. She was like a cat that had been feral for too long, you know? Like stuff wasn't connecting that really, really needed to. Like she used to do this thing I like to call the angry lap dance. she'd be like giving a lap dance. And incidentally, that is probably one of the reasons I was not a good stripper. This is how I give a lap dance. That's it, just a little choo-choo action, boner killed. So she'd be giving a lap dance, and then she'd pull back, like in the middle of it, slap the guy across the face, go back to giving the lap dance. The first time I saw it, I didn't, like jaw on the floor, I didn't know what, and so I went out and I was like, what was that? What are you doing? And she goes, oh, baby, I've been doing this long enough. I know the guys that want that. She goes, I can tell when they walk in the door who likes that. And to her credit, she was right. She was, like 12% of the time, but it's an 88% failure rate. That's not good numbers. What are you going to do, though? Like, you can't fire a bitch after 22 years, you know? She has tenure. So after the strip club was done with me, I went on to a place, it's called a Jack Shack. Are you familiar with a Jack Shack? Okay, it's a shack where gentlemen go to jack. Some people call it like a private show place. Some people call it like lingerie modeling. I don't do that. I was a stripper. I worked at a Jack Shack. That was it, you know? I got naked for masturbating men in an 8x8 room with a non-ironic red light. That's what it was. I was a stripper. I worked at a Jack Shack. And I'm going to tell you guys a story. I was working back, it was like 4 months ago. I was working on a Wednesday night. And about midnight, the signal light in the dressing room came on. There was a customer. So I went out. And, you know, I was like, oh, hi, would you like a show? And he was like, yeah, but, I want to try something kind of weird. Well, that's fucking adorable. Here's the thing. Everybody thinks they're into something kind of weird. And the truth of it is that none of it shocks me anymore. All right? None of it. I had a guy look inside me with a flashlight for 20 minutes. I've given a golden shower. I've made a nail appointment during that golden shower, you know? Like, my eyebrows have not raised incredulously since the 90s. You want to say you're into something weird? Know your fucking audience. That's all I'm saying. But I indulged him. I was like, ooh, what do you want to try? And he goes, a strap-on? And I said, okay, well, you buy it, we'll try it. And I directed him to the adult store in the front of the facility. Now, normally, when you tell somebody they need to buy an accessory for their kink, they would leave. Not out of anger, just out of cheapness, you know? And they wouldn't go straight for the door either. They'd make their way around the store. They'd go from, like, the DVDs to the cock socks to the dildos to the vibrators to the bondage gear to the butt plugs to the strap-ons right out the front door. So I was real surprised when the signal light came back on in the dressing room. Oh, shit. This motherfucker was calling my bluff. See, here's the thing. I've never done that before, all right? I stay away from man ass. It's not my thing. Now, I know what you think, like sex workers, why they all study up on the job. No. We don't all wear glasses and have podcasts, all right? Some of us just give like really mean blowjobs and need to pay rent. So man-ass was never my thing. Like, I never really delved into it. I never learned about it. I didn't want to. Ever since I was on the underside of an unfortunate daytime 69ing with an unwashed one-man band, I stay away from man-ass. But with the live sex work industry, kind of going under due to the internet stuff, anytime a dollar comes your way, you have to grab it. So I was going to bullshit my way through. So I went back out. The guy's there, and he hasn't bought a strap-on. He's bought just a dildo. So I take him back to the room, and I give him a couple minutes to get comfortable, and then I go into the dressing room, and I melt the fuck down in front of my coworker. I'm like, you've got to tell me what to do. How do I do this? Oh, my God, I've never done this. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And she sort of waves her hand dismissively, and she's like, you just do it. What, are you fucking kidding me, Nike? That's not what you do. This is a fucking intrusive event, all right? This is a situation where the blind should not be leading the blind, I'm pretty sure. But she wasn't going to offer me anything else. So I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So I went in there and I said, all right, well, what specifically do you want? And he hands me the dildo and he goes, I want this. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And he goes, I also want spanking and humiliation. Now, I'm a quick thinker, and I put it all together, and I was like, fucking perfect. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this guy get down on all fours, suck on the dildo, while I spank the shit out of him and tell him what a little bitch he is for the whole thing. And he's going to be so overwhelmed by the sensory overload, he's not even going to notice that I don't fuck his ass. Yeah. It's a brilliant plan, isn't it? It worked. For like a couple minutes, it worked for a couple minutes. And then he looked up at me, and he goes, are you going to use it on me? And I looked down at him, and I said, do you want me to? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So I reached down, and I got the dildo. Now, he was already down in a child's pose, if you're familiar with yoga. Namaste. So I take the dildo, and like I said, I am not a man-ass person. I'm just not. So I sort of kneel down, look up, and just kind of poke around to where I think things are going to happen. Now, the dildo, if you've ever felt one, they're made of kind of a sticky rubber. And man-ass is most usually covered in hair. So this was a mess. This wasn't happening. This wasn't working. And then I remembered one thing I do know about the anal is that you need lube. So I grabbed a bottle of lube, and I knelt down, and I poured it from above, down his ass crack, like a dry riverbed receiving the rain. And then I pour the lube all over the dildo, too. And then I go back to the salt mines. And I'm poking around, and I notice everything is very, very slippery now. And I've got these nails, and I just foresaw some sort of terrible accident, breaking a nail in a real bad way, and I didn't want that. So I grabbed a clean jizz rag, and I wrap it around the base of the dildo, go back to work for some traction, And I'm not looking. I'm just sort of going on instinct. And I find the target. So I start sort of pushing a little bit. And just sort of, just a little, not like shut, just pushing a little bit, just push. And then the head popped in. So I took that as my green light, and I did what my coworker said, and I just fucking did it. I put shoulder into it, ladies and gentlemen, like I fucking did it. I never really knew the meaning of the word whimper until that moment. When I went to pull it out, I realized that this man was not bullshitting me when he said it was his first time. And he'd never spoken to anybody or read anything about what he might need to do to prepare himself for such an intrusive event. I stuck in my thumb, I pulled out a plum. The towel looked like a Jackson Pollock if he worked in the medium of shit. Don't groan, that's a fucking high art joke. So I immediately see this. I'm like, hands off. Like, if he would have looked up at his well-paid professional, he would have seen fucking Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, just not knowing what the fuck to do. And I'm looking around the room for anything to help the situation. I don't know what that would be, though. You know, there's no, like, Wayback Machine. There's no fucking DeLorean with, like, a flux capacitor, none of that. So I think quick again, back to the humiliation, and I go, oh, do it yourself. You do it yourself. You fuck your own man pussy, you little bitch boy. That's pretty standard talk. And that's what he did. He finishes himself off, and I'm just standing there just rethinking my life choices up until that point. And once he finished, I said, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to clean up. And I went in the hall and just stood thinking. Was it really that good of an idea to leave college? Was it, that degree might have come in handy, but here we are. So I went back in the room, and I start walking the guy back to the back door. And as we're walking, he starts talking to me. And he's talking to me about how important my job is and how beneficial it is. And he's talking to me about all those benefits. He's like the physical benefits and the psychological benefits and the fucking sociological benefits and the goddamn metaphysical, like every excuse, every justification that I had given myself as to why it was okay that I was paying my rent through hand jobs, not jokes. This guy is parroting right back into my face. Well, this is the guy that gets it, of course, right? This is the motherfucker that gets it. He's the one that understands. This man whose ass is just melted down in my room like Mount Vesuvius. This is the motherfucker that gets it. So we get back to the back door, and we stand there, just sort of looking at each other. He looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and he says, well, I guess I can check that off my bucket list. And I high-fived that motherfucker, and I said, yeah, buddy, me too. Thank you. That was the Jack Shack. I've always done sex work, for a very long time. I've done sex work. I think I could have been really good in like adult films if my body wasn't stuck somewhere between porn and fetish porn. I like porn. Do you guys? No, not porn. Yes, porn. You look a little too sophisticated. I don't like that. This is bullshit. I love it. I like most types of porn. I don't like Girls Gone Wild. I think that's some bullshit porn, isn't it? It is. Everybody knows that porn's no good if you can still see hope in the girl's eyes. Not much can follow an ass-fucking story, can it? All right, I'll give you real stuff. I just got dumped. Thank you for that obligatory sympathy. That's nice. I'm trying to work through the pain. Like, I'm trying to constructively and creatively get over the anger of the breakup, pull something good from all the bad. I've been writing poetry about how I feel about the breakup. I have one poem with me. It's not done yet. Can I share with you guys what I have so far? Okay. Where'd you think I was going to keep it? Don't answer that. Because I tried. It just kept falling out. Smearing the ink and whatnot. Okay. Poem about the breakup. That's all I have so far. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hate the breakups. Right after I got dumped, I called my best friend looking for like some sympathy. Only the thing is she's engaged and she's in that bridal mentality, so she can't focus on anything that's not her or the wedding for more than just a few seconds. So I call her up and I'm pouring my heart out. I'm just telling her everything. And she's like, oh, that's too bad. But you know what? Me and Jimmy, we are so close. Oh my God, we're so in love and we're getting married. When we get married, you have got to be a bridesmaid. Oh. You got this sympathy thing down pat, don't you? You know what? When I blow my brains out from loneliness, splattering the walls of my studio apartment with gray matter and the stench of the unloved, oh my God, you have got to be a pallbearer. I hate the breakup. This one was really, really hard too. Like, he was my first real love, you know? Like, the first time I put my head on his chest, I saw our future, everything. Down to the newspaper article, like the picture of us, you know, posed real cute together in the park, and the caption that reads, "Another fairy tale romance, ends in murder-suicide." I thought we were gonna go all the way. I hate it. I hate being single. I hate looking for the relationships. There's a guy that likes me right now, and he's a therapist. You know what that means? Probably not a very good therapist. I read women's magazines looking for advice on how to meet men. They always tell you the same thing. They're always like, oh, if you want to meet a man, you got to dress to impress. That's it. You just dress to show off your best features. You got nice legs, you wear a short skirt. Got nice tits, you wear a tight shirt. So I started wearing crotchless panties. I know a couple of you look because I felt it twitch. Oh, I shouldn't call it. That's immature. I'm a grown-ass woman. I should call this thing by its proper name. Molly Ringwald. Because it was cuter in the 80s. It worked more, too. It's okay to laugh at this thing. We are roommates, not friends. I know that sounds a little harsh, and I know that because after a show once, a woman told me. She came up and she was like, I don't like the way you talk about that. That is your treasure chest. No, bitch, this is my junk drawer. This is terrible. This thing down here is the troublemaker, all right? This is where all the bad stuff starts. These are the lips that whisper the things in my head that make everything go wrong. Oh, hey, that homeless guy didn't smell too bad. He's wearing rollerblades. That's almost a car. It's terrible. I realize that I am probably 80% less fuckable now than I was before I opened my mouth. I want you to know I'm okay with that. You're kind of looking at me fucking half-cocked like 95, bitch. It's okay. I've already fucked everybody I need to, you know? I fulfilled my basic requirements. I'm in extra credit territory now. It's true. Like, I have the diagonal. I could yell bingo at any moment. I am blacking out the rest of the card for the fuck of it, you know? From millionaires down to dudes that live in their car, I have fucked them all. Millionaire. There was one millionaire. There was more than one dude that lived in his car, though. I fucked a sword swallower. I fucked a one-man band in both Missouri and Arkansas. Yeah. What'd you do with your 20s? You go to college like a little bitch? I want to find the relationship, you know? I want to. I just don't know how, like, I never know if I'm having a one-night stand or starting a relationship, you know? I never know. So I always look to the guys for the cues. So fellas, you have to do me a favor, all right? If it's just going to be a one-night stand, you have to lead me in the right direction afterwards by getting the fuck out. All right? You be up, be out, get gone. You don't have to go home, but you really should not stay here. Because here's the thing. If it's just a one-night stand, that is no repeat performance. That means you don't need to sleep in my bed. It's not there for you. Did you see a mint on the pillow? It doesn't taste like you did. You know? And don't walk around my apartment making yourself at home, changing the channel on my TV. You presumptuous motherfucker, who are you? And don't play string game with my cats. I don't want them getting attached. They're the real victims here. Honestly, if it's just a one-night stand, you don't even have to take your pants all the way off. Nope. Drop them to your ankles. We'll take care of it on the couch. No harm, no foul. Because here's the thing. If you are in my bed when the sun rises, you are my boyfriend. And I will update my Facebook status to reflect as much. I'll friend your whole family, too, from mothers down to cousins, before you even wake up. Thank you guys very much.
Keep it going for Susanna Lee, everybody. the alpha stripper of the LA comedy scene. I had thought that we had an arrangement not to talk about the time that you rammed a dildo into me, but apparently we're just taking everything to stage. Girls from the couch, I like that you hid your faces when I talked about the dead rat in the intro, as if that was the worst thing that was going to happen to you tonight. And so for the last 20 minutes, I've just watched you sink lower and lower into this couch, yet not be able to disappear, and it's the best thing I've ever seen. Susanna used to run a show out of the Jack Shack, which was eye-opening for a lot of the comedians there, because there was a stage and chairs that she would spray with several cans of Lysol just before the show. That's how you get clean for that. And then our green room was at the other end of the Jack Shack through a labyrinth of weird fuck rooms that weren't very well lit, but it had like lasers and smoke machines. And when you would run into somebody you knew in that thing, you'd like run up and like, hey, let's hug. But sometimes you weren't lit, and it would just look like a rapey shadow was coming at you through some lasers from the future. And that was on Monday night. I went to a bar with Susanna where a guy tried the weirdest pickup hit-on move I've ever seen. He was in a bright blue suit, and he was from Latin America and had weird eyebrows, so he looked like a Fred Armisen character in Miami Vice. And he just kept walking up to the chair she was at and looking under it for too long and being like, I've lost my bag. There was no bag. There was never a bag, but he just kept repeating that to the point that people were like, well, we can't kick him out because he's looking for his bag, but he just keeps looking under Susanna forever for this thing that doesn't exist. I fucking love that. That's the best, worst line that you could I've lost something that's you can't prove it doesn't exist, but I can keep looking underneath you for it. Guys, you ready for your headliner tonight? Put your hands together. Come on. This next guy is great. He is the only good thing to ever come out of Canada. He hosts a show called UGG. He hosts a podcast called Meh. Please put your hands together for Mr. Will Weldon.
Oh, thank you, one person who maintained the applause until I got to the microphone. I feel very lucky to have maintained my Cal Ripken-like streak of having the audience stop applauding before I'm close to starting to talk. If anyone, I feel bad for anyone who is watching this because they're kind of getting the least interesting part of the show. It's like comedians on stage, and you can see that at any comedy show. But like if you're here, there's like a huge dog that's been asleep the whole show over on one side. There's like weird Wayne's World-esque party rooms on either side. They're like, no, black stage, black backdrop, that's the most interesting thing in here. There's a fake kitchen getup over there, a green screen. I could be performing anywhere I want, but instead I gotta perform where I always perform. And just like an inky blackness, it's like all these great sets, and then like, yeah, the fire escape, we got some loose wires hanging around. I don't know. There's like a guy in the back like doing taxes for the venue, like, I don't know. We're gonna pay the power bill. Also, before you have, because obviously the show is like on the internet, and before the show you have to sign some paperwork like you do anytime cameras film you for a thing, just being like, yes, I understand how cameras work, and I acknowledge my soul will not be stolen by them. But one of the forms, it was like a confidentiality agreement where I agreed to not like reveal any of the secrets of the space or the technology. And I saw that, and instead of signing it, I just wish there was some way I could have sarcastically written like, I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't think I'm the guy who's gonna crack any sort of technology code. Unless the secret to this website is turn it off and then immediately turn it back on again, I don't understand how it works. Because that is the extent of my knowledge of technology. It's like, oh, the stove, there's a grease fire on the stove. And I was like, have you tried unplugging it? And that's pretty old technology, stoves. Sure, I could have made a better choice in the spur of the moment. But I'm riffing. What do you want from me? So I am. Maybe this will immediately make me seem like a dink and alienate everyone. But I have abs. Does anyone here have abs? Very good. It doesn't matter. I just sometimes like to ask a question that tangentially relates to the setup of the bit. And I have people have legitimately been like, hey, like, what do you do? How do you do that? How'd you get that? And some people are like, what do you think? It's like hard work. I think they're wrong. The people who are like, you gotta like eat right and work hard. The key to getting and maintaining abdominal muscles is acknowledge that you have a terrible personality and that you need as much help as you can possibly get in every other area. It's the same, people like, oh, you maintain your hair and it always looks so good. It's like, yeah, because I'm not fun to talk to. I have to look good or I'm doomed. And that's another. I'm legitimately a fucking loser. Like, it's crazy. Like, if a frat guy saw how I lived, he would be like, you need to get your shit together, man. Like, it's not good. And it's extra, it's like a double, or I'm trying to think of like, how do you like, I was like, it's not just a bummer. How do I increase it from bummer to like more? And I was like, double bummer, super bummer? I don't know. And then as I'm having that conversation, I was like, oh, I should just tell them about the conversation going on in my brain and they'll understand what's wrong with me. But it's bad. My life stinks and is embarrassing, and it's extra embarrassing because I'm like an attractive, straight, white male, and it is like, how big of a loser do you have to be to fail with that kind of privilege going on? I was born with all the innate gifts you can be born with, and I'm blowing it somehow. It's like that in and of itself is almost impressive. Like I'm a guy who brought a gun to a knife fight and then lost the knife fight. There's just like a dude with a bloody knife standing over my body, and he's like, I do not know how I pulled that off. It's all like, sometimes people be like, it's not that easy being a straight white guy. It's not that easy. It's pretty easy. Like, and it's always straight white guys who say that. It's like, you're the least qualified person to comment on this. And I had my tags were expired for like 4 months on my car because I just never saved up enough money to pay the fee, and it kept going up. So I was like, quite a conundrum. I was reacting as if the fee would keep going down. Like I was haggling with the state of California. I was like, I'll wait it out and they'll give me a better price. No, it gets worse. And I have 4 months, my registration was expired. I got pulled over once. And when I got pulled over, the cop comes over and he's like, he comes over and I'm like, what's the problem, officer? He's like, well, did you know your tags are expired? And I was like, yes. I was bluffing. I knew what the problem was. I was hoping you were just randomly pulled me over, like maybe he'll admit to something. So, and he's like, what's going on? What's the problem? And I was like, I just haven't really. It's just like a lot of money. It's like expensive. And he was like, yeah, I know. That sucks. Well, I'll just let you off with a warning this time. But it's like a warning of what? What is he warning me about? Like, warning, your actions have no consequences. Look out, you're going to be fine. Duck, nothing. It's fine, don't worry about it. And that's when I was like, my life could not be easier than this. Where a cop shows up and is like, just a friendly reminder, you're breaking the law. Now see you later. Hey, I just want to let you know in case you don't get like one of the cool cops next time your tags are expired. Figured I'd give you a heads up. I don't work much. I don't get a lot of jobs, and that makes me mad because I don't want to starve to death. And people have like resorted to like bad cliches to try to make me feel better. Like, the last job I didn't get, a friend of mine was like, well, look, yeah, it sucks, but, like, you can't win them all. I was like, is that my problem? That I'm not winning all of them? I didn't know that I was upset because at the end of my life, I would not have a 100% winning percentage. I would have felt better if he'd been like, hey, you know, you can't lose them all. Then I'd be like, oh, okay, good, yeah, right. Odds are good I will not end life with a 0% winning percentage. I kept saying percent before winning percentage, and that doesn't help the joke. That is also not thought out very well. Also, my agent tried to make me feel better. She was like, yeah, look, yeah, you didn't get this job, but like, it's not all bad, because like right now you are on a lot of people's radar. And it's like, I've never been in any sort of military organization, but I'm pretty sure all you have to do to show up on radar is physically occupy space. Is that the best thing that can be said about my career right now? That I am, if you shoot radio waves at me, they will bounce off? Like, hey, good news, you're not a ghost or some sort of creature of the spirit realm. You know, it's quit jangling those chains, you're a person. Also, it never seems like a good thing when someone's on someone's radar. Like you watch like a movie about fighter jets, they're never like, good news, something's on your radar. They're always like, look out! Enemy bogeys detected. That's the thing. I'm like on a lot of people's radar, and they're like, take evasive maneuvers. Does anyone else have really terrible road rage? Yeah. See, and a lot of people clapped. And that's because I've learned driving in Los Angeles that at a certain point, what some people call road rage, most people just know as perfectly reasonable anger. Like, when a guy, like, I'm beelining it through the fast lane and a guy cuts me off to go 10 miles under the limit, I'm not a dink for being like, what the fuck, man? That's, like, evil is only allowed to flourish when good men do nothing, you know? I'm not the asshole here. These people were like, let him do it. He's in an infinity. No. It's no good. I have I have like committed hate crimes, the thing I've said while driving around. I'm a totally different person alone in my car. I've done that thing. Has anyone else ever seen someone is driving so badly that you start driving badly so that you can catch them and just look into their eyes for a moment? Like you're like, I just need to see you, so maybe I will understand you. Okay, well that part is too psychotic, I think. But I have started like driving like a maniac too, because it's like maybe if I see them, I will know why life is like this. Like, we'll make eye contact, and I'll be like, I get it now. I understand the world is cruel and random, and I should stop worrying about this shit. And I almost never catch them, too, which makes me think it's, like, a part of my hero's journey, you know? We can talk about it afterwards. The one thing I like about drunk drivers is that the thing that the police look for the most when they're looking for drunk drivers, the number one thing is they are looking for cars that are driving slowly, which I think is incredible, that the number one indicator that someone is driving drunk is that they are driving responsibly. What does that say about driving in this city where the only dudes not driving like assholes are the ones who are plowed out of their minds? Like, what are the other indicators of a drunk driver? Like, oh, that guy's using his turn signal. Oh, look at that. He stopped at a crosswalk and let that old woman cross. Oh, nice waiting outside his date's apartment to make sure she gets inside safely. Get him off the road! Sometimes you can just scream at the end of a joke and it works. That's the secret to writing a good closer. You write a joke, you can scream at the end of it. Okay, well, I don't have to worry about being too dirty. I think I finally, like, unclenched my asshole after hearing about getting a dildo. Like, I just sort of imagine Susanna taking, like, a running start and then doing, like, one of those flying double foot drop kicks into the dude. Like, not just, like, I cannot, like, and then it's like a like a broad comedy, like the top of it comes out of his mouth and then he pushes it back in. Oh. I only a couple years ago really started dating as an adult. Are you giving me the light? Or are you just waving a cell phone around? I seriously need an answer because you waved it right by where the brightest lights I've ever seen in my entire life are. Yeah, he should be able to see this cell phone behind these floodlights. Yeah, there's a dictator in his compound behind you and we're trying to get him out. So we've got those lights, but the cell phone is for you. But also if the dictator is seeing the cell phone, also wrap it up in 5 minutes. You as well. What the fuck was I even gonna talk about? Oh, I'm dating someone now, and I was like in a relationship for a really long time from when I was like 19 to like 27, and I'm dating someone now, which is a couple years after that, and it's great, and she's great, but she sends me a lot of nudes, and that's like a new thing for me, because my ex and I, we got together before technology really took off, and then we just stopped. So like that was it. Like one time we had sex over Skype, and we were like, oh, look at us, cutting edge over here. I didn't even know what the like squirting emoji meant yet. The like 3 water drops, and the zucchini is a penis, I think, or the eggplant is a dick. I know that now. But this girl I'm dating, she sends me a lot of nudes, and at first I was like, dude, jackpot. But like, there's only so many ways you can take a naked picture of yourself, and she sends me so many that now I'm just kind of like, yeah. I know. Like, yep, that's what that looks like all the time. Yeah, for sure. But I gotta respond. So I'm essentially just like looking up synonyms for the word attractive and like, oh yeah, like copy and pasting those to her. Cause I don't wanna cause it's great. Like a part of me wants to be like, you should like stop for a month and then I'll get really thirsty and then I'll be happy again with it. Cause like now I know. And also it's like, we've had sex too, so it's like, yeah, like that thing where we do it, but she's here and it's way better. Yeah, it's great, I remember. But she sent me one, and I guess she'd put like a weird filter on it, because it was super pink for whatever. She just looked really pink in it. So I texted her, very pink. Which was a mistake. Like, here's a naked photo of me, and I'm like, I have some thoughts on the color contrast. That's more of a 3rd or 4th note you give somebody. Or there you do like the shit sandwich where you're like, very hot, very pink, nice tits. Like you give her the compliment bread with the criticism as the sandwich part. But then I just don't, it's a shit sandwich, that's a thing. And then I just don't hear from her for like 15 minutes. And then she just texts me, I just wrote and then deleted the most passive-aggressive text message, which I loved. I loved that she sent me that, because that's the most amazing story just in that one text. That story, she was like, hey, I just want you to know that I just wrote you the most passive-aggressive text message, but I deleted it so that I could write you an even more passive-aggressive text message. Because I saw it and I was like, no, I have more in me. Yeah, it's the best, but I can top the best. People like to shit on, here's one, which isn't super relevant right now, but like anytime, so like when Ninja Turtles came out and when Transformers came out, whenever any of these old movies get brought back or old properties get brought back and redone, it's always people on the internet who are mad about it. Always, there's always the same reaction. In all the reactions, always someone writes, like say the Ninja Turtles, they'll be like, ugh, and it's being directed by Michael Bay. They'll be like, ugh, saw the trailer for the Ninja Turtles movie, and I can't believe Michael Bay raped my childhood. Now, obviously, that is gross. Like, that's not. It's a gross comparison because, like, no one. There's not like survivors groups for like, did you see Transformers? Like, that's not a meetup. That you're fine. You don't have trauma you need to work through after you see those. So it's gross on the macro. Also, on the micro level, Michael Bay went to the people who owned the rights to those properties. And he got permission from those people to make those movies, which means Michael Bay did not rape your childhood. Michael Bay had consensual sex with your childhood. Your childhood just has terrible taste in men. And also was not as sexy as you remember it being. People like to shit on vegan food, which annoys me because they never know what they're talking about. They're like, vegans, they're so annoying. Oh, vegans, so annoying. The way they are endlessly accommodating. Get out of here, vegans. The way you will just have water at a meal and not say anything. Get out of here with you being the best people who don't make a fuss about anything ever. And I hate because they'll even be like, I'm not vegan, but I like vegan food. If it's good, I like it because that's how taste works. And I'll talk to people, they'll be like, vegan food, gross, sick, fuck vegan food, disgusting. And I'll be like, well, have you ever had vegan food? And they'll be like, well, I ate a brick of raw tofu one time. That doesn't really count as vegan food, you know? Like, one time in high school, some bullies made me eat grass. No, not vegan food. This is not vegan food. That'd be like if you were like, books, fuck books. I hate books. Books are terrible. And I was like, well, have you read any books? And you were like, just Berenstain Bears. Only Berenstain Bears. Also, it was Get the Gimmies. It was not even a good one. I always feel bad using that example because I actually really enjoyed Get the Gimmies when I was young, but that's the funniest title for a Berenstain Bears book. I think that's it. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, guys.
Keep it going for everyone you saw tonight. Mr. Will Weldon, Susanna Lee, Brandie Posey, and I'm Brock Wilbur. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for coming to Comedy Emulator. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye. Bye, Internet.
The following program is intended is advised.